Welcome back at Lago di Como in Italy. We will do a 20-minute leg tone and stretch. And we're gonna get started at the top of the mat with the feet hip distance apart in a forward fold. So just start to fold over your legs. Here you can keep as much of a bend in the knees as you need. And you can keep your arms hanging, or you can also grab opposite elbows and gently rock from side to side. Starting to wake up the legs, wake up the hamstrings, letting the head hang heavy. And then release your elbows and start to bring your feet as wide as the mat with the toes turning out, and sit your hips low into Malasana Yogi Squat, bringing the hands in front of the heart. And from here slowly lowering the hips all the way down into the mat, lowering onto your forearms. So bring your forearms down and straighten your legs all the way up towards the ceiling. So lifting the legs up and trying to keep them as straight as possible. And from here we're gonna lower the right heel all the way down to the mat while drawing the left leg towards your face. And with the exhale switch, lower the left heel down and bring the right leg in while inhaling. And with the exhale switch. So we're lifting and lowering the legs, and really try to draw the leg that's up close towards your face so that we engage the whole front side of the leg. Let's do 5 more. Last 4 and last 3. Stay with it, straighten your legs. Last 2 and last 1. Lowering and lifting the leg up, keeping both legs lifted, and then opening the legs like a V and closing the legs back together. With the inhale we open, with the exhale we close. Try to keep your legs fully straight, no bend in the knee, toes are pointed. And now we're gonna do a combination. Lower the right heel down, keep the left leg in. Lift back up and switch, left heel down, legs up, and then open into our V. Closing, and then inhale, lower the right heel. Exhale, lower the left heel. Inhale, open your legs, and exhale to close. 1 more like that. Inhale, exhale, inhale, opening. Exhale, close, bend your knees, and then come to roll onto your left side, so onto the left hip, and come to lie all the way down onto your left arm. You can rest your hand in your palm. Keep the left leg a little bit bent, but straighten the right leg, so the top leg fully, and start to lift and lower the right leg. No bend in the knee, the toes are pointed, and we are lifting and lowering, starting to work into the outer hip. We'll do 4 more. Keep the leg as straight as possible. Last 3 and 2 and last 1. And then keep the leg lifted and paint little circles with the right foot in one direction, and then switching it out, just tiny little circles. And now let's bend both the knees, bringing them in a 90-degree angle on top of each other, and then lift the right knee up and straighten the leg all the way back. Inhale to lower and bend. Exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend, bringing the knees on top of each other, and with the exhale we straighten the leg and pushing it back, keeping the right foot flexed, staying with it. Let's do 5 more. Last 4, really straighten that leg, and 3, last 2, and last 1. Keep the right leg lifted, and we're gonna pulse the leg up, so tiny little pulses, lifting higher and higher by keeping the leg fully straight. We're almost done with this. And we're gonna start all over again. So bring the right leg long down and all the way up like we did just in the beginning. So lifting and lowering the right leg while the left leg has a small bend in the knee. Head is still resting in the left palm. And we lift and lower, finding your full range of motion here. And keep the leg lifted and draw small tiny circles with the right foot. You can point the right toes and switch it out, circling the opposite direction. And again, we're gonna bend both knees, stacking the knees on top of each other, and then lift the top leg and straighten it out. Inhale to lower, exhale to lift and straighten. You can flex the right foot and really press it long and away, keeping the whole leg fully engaged, engaging the outer glutes especially. Let's do 3 more. Last 2. And last 1. Keeping the leg lifted. Point the right toes and find tiny little lifts. So pulsing up higher and higher. Stay with it. Staying here for the last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And lower the right leg down. We're gonna switch sides right away. So come to lie all the way down onto your right side now. Resting your head in the right palm, straightening the legs. You can keep a slight bend in the right knee, but fully straighten your left leg now, pointing the toes and lifting the leg up and lowering. So finding our leg lifts here with a fully straight leg, no bend in the knee. And we're lifting and lowering, really focusing on engaging your outer glute here. For the last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep the leg lifted and draw tiny circles into one direction, pointing through the left toes. And let's switch directions, so circling the opposite way, keeping the leg lifted as high as possible. And let's bend both knees, bringing them on top of each other, and lift the left knee up, straighten the leg and lower. Really flexing into the foot here when you press the leg back, bending as you lower, and straightening the leg when you lift it up, really pressing the heel away, trying to find your breath, inhaling and exhaling, working on toning the legs here. And we'll soon also do some stretching, and there is nothing better when you first really work your muscles and then you stretch them. It's also one of the safest ways to really have the muscle warmed up before we stretch deeply into it. So now let's keep the leg lifted and find tiny pulses. So pulsing higher and higher. Stay with it and release. We'll start from the beginning. So start to lift and lower the left leg, pointing through the toes, keeping the leg fully straight. The bottom leg has a slight bend in the knee. And we lift and lower. How much can you point your toes? Try to point them as much as you can. And we're gonna stay lifted and draw little circles into one direction. Keep the leg high and reverse the direction. So moving backwards, small circles. And let's bend both knees, bring them on top of each other. Lift the left knee up, straighten the leg, rebend and lower. So finding that lifting and lowering with a straight leg when you rise up, pressing the heel away from you. So now we flex the left foot. Finding maybe now a slight burn in our glutes and our thighs. I hope you can feel it. If not, do this class all over again when we're done. And staying with it. And we're gonna keep the leg lifted, find tiny pulses, lifting higher and higher, and release. From here we're going to come onto all fours. So make your way into all fours. Moving straight into our down dog, tuck your toes and lift the hips up. A little release before we do a bit more of strength work. You can pedal the feet, bend your knees, starting to stretch into the legs. I hope this feels yummy for you. Finding a moment of stillness in our down dog, pressing the palms into the mat. Draw your heels towards the mat. And with the next inhale, lift your right leg up for three-legged dog and step the right foot to the front of the mat, rising all the way up to our high crescent lunge. So we're coming high onto the left toes. There is a deep bend in the right knee. And from here, we're gonna bring the hands onto the hips and start to bend the left knee, almost touching the mat and lifting it up again. So we're doing little knee dips with the left knee almost touching the mat and lifting back up for the next 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Open to the long side of the mat, coming into our goddess pose. So heels in, toes out, hands in front of the heart. Bend your knees, send the hips low, sitting low here and doing tiny pulses. So pulsing lower and lower in our goddess pose, engaging the glutes, the inner thighs. And from here, we're going to turn now to the back of the mat. So turn all 10 toes to the back, coming into our high crescent lunge. So deep bend in the left knee. We're high on the right toes now. And we'll do our knee dips on this side now. So bring your hands onto your hips and start to lower the right knee down, almost touching the mat and lifting it up again. Staying here. Bend your knees for the last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And back to center, back to our goddess pose. So heels in, toes out, hands in front of the heart. Bend your knees, send the hips low, sitting low here, tiny pulses. So setting the hips lower and lower. This is my personal hate pose. I really hate this pose, but this means probably I just have to do it more. And now this pose I really like. Toes in, heels out. Let's fold forward in our Prasarita Padottanasana. Stretching it out here for a moment. The closer we bring the feet here, the deeper the stretch, because the harder it is to bring the crown of the head towards the mat. So if you want to get towards that head to mat connection, you can bring your feet further apart from each other, then it gets a little easier. You can hold onto the big toes here, pulling yourself in a bit deeper. And from here, let's lower all the way down. So bend your knees, coming straight into our frog pose. So bringing the knees as wide away from each other as possible. 90-degree angle in your knees, and the inner arches of the foot are flat in the mat or in the floor. And you can lower all the way down onto your forearms, or you can also stay on your palms. This can be a very intense sensation for the inner thighs. But the good news is we have arrived at the stretching part of this class. So now we're just gonna stretch it out, sink into it, try to stay with your breath, inhaling in and exhaling out, symbolizing to the nervous system that everything's okay. And press into your palms now to slowly bring the knees back together, coming out of the pose, back onto all fours. And from here, just bring the right foot forward, coming into a low lunge. Right knee is on top of the right ankle. So maybe you have to shift the left hip back a bit. And interlace your fingers now, bring the palms on top of your right thigh to really press the thigh away from you, opening the chest, maybe finding a slight back bend here, dropping your head back and really melting that left hip down towards the mat. And release, shift back, half split, half Hanumanasana, straightening the right leg, flexing the right foot, folding over the right shin here, trying to keep length in the spine. Deep breath in and full breath out. From here, let's roll onto the outer blade of the right foot and walk your hands over to the right. So to the outside of the right leg, and really rotating the right leg out, stretching more into the IT bend here. and coming back to center, rebend the right knee, plant your palms and switch sides, so bring the right knee back and the left foot in front now, bending the left knee on top of the left ankle, interlacing the fingers, bringing the palms on top of your thigh and then sitting low here. So draw the right hip forward towards the mat, press the thigh away from you to open your chest. See if you can straighten your arms here and lifting the chest up, finding that slight back bend. Maybe you can drop your head back. One more round of breath. Inhale. And with the exhale, slowly shifting back into our half split. Bring your hands into the mat, straighten the left leg, flex into the left foot. And if you notice now that your hamstrings are a bit tight, I highly recommend you to do my leg stretch video that I'll link for you down below and up here to really work on your leg flexibility and increase that tremendously with the class that I'll link for you. And we're gonna walk the hands to the left, rolling onto the outer blade of the left foot, so opening the inner thigh and stretching more into the outer side of that leg, trying to lean towards the left. Full round of breath here. Inhale and exhale back to the center. Rebend the left knee, bring the knee back and send the hips towards your heels, shifting your legs to one side and bringing them in front. I actually tricked you now into one last strength exercise, but we'll get over it really fast. Come to lower down onto your forearms and lift the legs up. So exactly what we did in the beginning. Bring the left leg in while lowering the right heel down, and then switch, really drawing the leg towards your face. Staying super strong here in the thighs, and then open your legs and closing them and lowering one heel with the inhale, lifting it up and lowering the other heel with the exhale, engaging the front of the thighs. Inhale, open your leg like a V, and exhale to close. Let's do 3 more like that and try to make these 3 the best you've done so far. So staying as straight as possible with the legs, pointing the toes, moving nice and slow, and making these movements as precise as possible. Not forgetting about the breath. Inhale to open and exhale to close. Last one, lower your heel and switch it out. Inhale, open the legs. And we're gonna stay open now. Come up onto your palms to come straight into a seated straddle pose. So keeping the legs wide, flex your feet, and either just try and stay seated upright, or if you have more depth, you can lower forward, maybe down onto your forearms. Maybe you can come all the way down into your mat. Just finding your depth here. This is, I think, a really challenging pose for so many people because it requires a lot of open hip flexibility. And if you're struggling with this pose, I very much recommend you to put a pillow or something underneath the hips to help you sit a little bit taller and find a longer spine. And I can recommend you another video of mine to work more on open hips and hamstrings. I will also link that for you down below. Don't forget to check that out to increase your flexibility. And now we're gonna rise back up, bring your legs together. We'll do one last forward fold, removing any fleshy bits underneath the sit bones. Sitting up tall, inhale, reach your arms up, find length. And with the exhale, folding over the legs, maybe getting hold of the feet, the ankles, the shins. You can always keep a bend in your knees here. So we want to find that stomach to thigh connection. So it doesn't matter how much you have to bend your knees to find that connection. It is much, much, much better instead of straightening the legs, but rounding the spine. That is just not correct to do. So try to find your stomach on the thighs. Maybe holding onto the big toes, relaxing the neck, and slowly come back up, cross your ankles, we are done with our leg tone and stretch. Thank you so much for joining. If you have more time, make sure to check out some of my other videos, like the hamstring stretch or the hip opening. And I hope I'll see you soon again. If you haven't subscribe to my channel to stay tuned with all the new videos that are coming and to really stick with your yoga practice. And one last thing, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That would mean a lot to me. You can always leave me your feedback in the comments, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.